Monday, 6:10 a.m. The street is wet and delivery trucks grind past our small house. I pour coffee, rinse yesterday's mugs, and watch the kettle shiver on the coil. My name is Emma. I'm 34. I work remote for a logistics company, mostly correcting other people's numbers. My desk faces the hallway, so I hear the water in the pipes when someone showers. It's not romantic. Mark comes in from a night shift with his jacket damp and the smell of antiseptic. He's a paramedic, and the job leaves marks you can't point to. We kiss the way coworkers do in a break room, polite and quick. He says the new monitor is glitchy. A 12 lead took 3 tries, and he hasn't had more than 4 hours of sleep since Friday. I hand him coffee. He drinks half and says he'll finish later. By 8 a.m., he's in bed with the curtains pulled, and the house settles into routine. I open spreadsheets, answer emails with subject lines like small discrepancy, and let a podcast run low. The neighbor's dog circles the fence and barks at buses. I eat toast over the sink. The day moves forward without asking what I want from it. Around noon, I do laundry. Mark's scrub tops carry hospital cleanser, even after the wash. I hang them in the hallway and the air turns sharp. Every home smells like something. Onions, detergent, coffee. Ours smells like work. At 3 p.m., I take a call with a client who swears a shipment vanished. It didn't. It's at a cross dock because someone mislabeled a pallet. I nod at nothing and type notes I'll never reread. When the call ends, the refrigerator clicks. By early evening, Mark wakes up moving carefully, like his joints need a second to remember. We trade updates. He saw 3 overdoses and a car wreck. I reconciled 4 accounts and cleaned the microwave. He showers. I chop peppers. The TV runs a game everyone already saw highlights of. We eat at the kitchen island because the dining table collects mail. There's nothing wrong, exactly. We just orbit. Later, I take the trash out. The porch light flickers. Mark checks his calendar. Another overnight tomorrow, then a 12 on Thursday, then back-to-back 10s. He says he'll try to swap one, but he won't push. A little before 10, the front door opens. Footsteps, a bag set down carefully. Ethan's been with us a few months, Mark's son from his first marriage, 22, finishing community college and working part-time at a warehouse. He keeps odd hours and leaves half-read paperbacks on the couch arm. We don't crowd him. He doesn't crowd us. He says hi on his way to his room, and I answer from the sink. I can't read him yet. At a bus stop, you might think he was waiting for the wrong line. At 11:30 p.m., Mark's alarm chirps. He rinses his thermos, pockets his badge, and kisses my hair. Back in the morning, he says, which is true in the strictest sense. I lock the door and count the bolts out of habit. Then I load the dishwasher, set it to run, and go to bed with glow of the hall nightlight on the ceiling. The day ends the way it began, orderly, survivable, blending into the next one. Tuesday night. Rain again, softer this time. Mark's at work. His text earlier just said, "Busy shift, don't wait up." The house feels bigger when it's only me and Ethan, though we barely cross paths. He's in his room most of the time, the door half closed, low music from a speaker that never gets loud enough to make out lyrics. I hear him moving sometimes, drawers, a chair sliding, but never voices, never phone calls. Dinner's quiet. He takes his plate to his room, thanks me without looking up. I tell myself that's fine, that he's just young and private, but there's something about the way he avoids my eyes that sits under my skin. 2 weeks ago, we started acknowledging each other more. Small talk, safe stuff. I asked about his job. He said it's temporary and laughed like it was obvious. He asked if I liked working from home. I said it was quiet. That word hung there like lint you can't brush off. Tonight, when the storm cut the power, I went to the kitchen to find the lighter. The air was thick, still holding the smell of fried onions from earlier. Then I saw a glow near the window. Ethan, sitting on a stool, candle in one hand, cigarette in the other. The smoke moved in lazy spirals toward the ceiling. "You shouldn't smoke inside," I said automatically. He looked over, calm. "I'll open a window." Didn't want to sit in the dark. I stood there longer than I meant to. The flame lit his face unevenly, one side sharp, the other soft. He looked tired, like someone who hadn't been sure whether to come back or keep walking. "Power's been doing that lately," he said. "Mark told me the wiring's old." "Yeah, he keeps saying he'll fix it. He won't." He said it without malice, just fact. "He's never home." I didn't argue. The house made small noises, pipes cooling, rain on the gutter, the clock still ticking, even though nothing else worked. He asked, "You ever get used to it? Him being gone so much?" I tell myself I did. "And it still feels like waiting." He nodded, eyes on the candle. For a moment it felt like we'd stumbled into the kind of honesty you don't plan, the kind that only shows up when everything else shuts off. He smiled faintly. "Guess you learned to like quiet then." "Guess so." When I went back to my room, I could still see the orange flicker under the door frame. I tried reading, but the words didn't stick. My mind kept returning to that brief exchange, not the words, but the way he'd looked at me, direct but not searching, like he was studying something he hadn't decided about yet. Later, when the lights came back, I went to the kitchen to blow out the candle. The air smelled of smoke and burnt wax. The chair where he'd been sitting was empty, but his lighter was still on the counter. I picked it up and turned it in my hand, the metal still warm. In bed, I could hear him moving again. A floorboard near his room creaked, slow, deliberate. Nothing strange, just footsteps in an old house, but I stayed awake, listening until I wasn't sure whether the sound was real or memory. Thursday afternoon. The sky is flat and gray, the kind that never commits to rain. Mark's on a 48-hour shift, back tomorrow evening if nothing changes. I come home early from an errand carrying groceries that start to slip in the paper bag. The house smells faintly of detergent, and the air inside feels cooler than outside. From the hallway, I hear water running. I call out, "Ethan?" No answer. It sounds like the shower. For a second, I think maybe he forgot to turn it off. Something careless, fixable. But as I reach the bathroom, I see the door isn't closed all the way. Steam drifts out in slow breaths. I hesitate, my hand half raised. "Hey, you left the..." I stop. Through the gap, I catch a glimpse of the mirror, his reflection. He's leaning over the sink, shirtless, his shoulders drawn tight as if holding something in. Water drips from his hair. He looks up suddenly, and in that same second, our eyes meet in the mirror. Neither of us moves. I feel the weight of it, sharp, electric, wrong. Then I take one quiet step back, then another, until I'm out of sight. My pulse is loud in my throat. I walk straight to my room, close the door, and sit on the edge of the bed, hands still damp from the groceries. The sound of water stops. A few seconds later, the door to the bathroom opens. I hear him move across the hallway, his footsteps even, unhurried. A door shuts. I sit there a long time before realizing my fingers are shaking. It wasn't just the fact that I saw him. It was what was on his face. Not embarrassment, not anger. Something else, like he'd been caught in a thought too private to name. That night, I make dinner but don't call him. I leave a plate covered on the counter and eat standing up. The television hums low in the background. Some local news about road work, voices too steady for how my chest feels. I catch myself checking the hallway more than once. When I finally go to bed, I leave the lamp on. The house feels alive in ways it shouldn't. The floor expands, pipes click, branches scrape the roof. My mind replays the image in the mirror, not his face exactly, but that second of recognition. Near midnight, I drift in and out of sleep. I dream of running water in cold glass. I wake up once thinking I heard something, maybe the shower again, but it's just the hum of the fridge cycling on. I lie there, eyes open to the dim ceiling, knowing that a boundary I can't define has already shifted, and pretending it hasn't won't make it move back. Saturday evening. The power cuts out again just after 7. A blown transformer somewhere up the street, probably. The house dips into that dull half-dark that happens before your eyes adjust. Mark's at work, another double. I light a candle on the kitchen counter and sit with my laptop open even though the Wi-Fi's down. The screen glows blue for a few seconds, then dies. The silence after the shutdown feels thick, but I focus on small things. The scrape of the chair, the faint smell of wax, the uneven flicker of flame. Ethan's door opens. He steps into the hallway, barefoot, hair still wet from a shower. "You okay?" he asks. "Yeah. Power again. I'll check the breaker." He pauses, glances toward the back of the house, but doesn't move. He walks over to the table instead and leans on the counter near me. "You got enough candles?" "Plenty." He smiles a little. "You look like you do this a lot." "Practice." It's been happening for months for a moment. The only sound is the wind nudging the siding. He's close enough that I can smell the faint trace of his shampoo. Something simple, clean, like soap bars in a locker room. His hand rests near mine on the counter, not touching but close enough that I can feel the heat from his skin. He says, "You ever think about leaving this place?" I blink. "The house?" "Yeah, or just the way things are." "I don't know," I say. "Leaving takes energy." We barely keep the lights on. He laughs quietly, then turns serious again. "Mark doesn't see it, does he?" "How still everything's gotten here." "He's tired," I say automatically. "Everyone's tired," he replies, not accusing, just stating it. He reaches for the mug in front of me, offers to refill it with water from the fridge. The candlelight makes his movements slow, deliberate. When he hands it back, his fingers brush mine. It's nothing, and somehow too much. I don't pull away. "Thanks," I say, voice steady. He nods but doesn't step back. His eyes hold on mine longer than a glance should. Then he clears his throat, says, "I'll go look at the panel." But he doesn't. Instead, he sits across from me, elbows on the table, tracing the edge of the candle holder with one finger. We talk about meaningless things. The weather, his classes, a coworker of mine who keeps mislabeling spreadsheets. Each sentence feels like a step we shouldn't be taking, but keep taking anyway. The storm outside thickens, rain starting to drum on the deck. When a flash of lightning hits, his face shows for a split second, calm, intent, curious. He says softly, "Sometimes you can feel when something's about to change, right?" I hold his gaze. "Yeah." The lights flicker back for an instant, then die again. The candle between us bends slightly in the draft. He reaches to steady it, and his hand grazes mine fully this time. Firm, sure. Neither of us moves. The air between us feels charged, fragile. He opens his mouth like he's about to say something more, but then stops. We both know what he doesn't say. After a long moment, I stand, pretending to check the windows. I should get another candle for the hallway. My voice sounds normal. It shouldn't. When I come back, he's still there, sitting in the same spot. The candle burned lower. He doesn't look up when I pass by. Later that night, when power returns, I find the empty mug still on the table. I wash it slowly, the sound of the water steady in the sink. What happened, or almost happened, sits in my chest like static, quiet but impossible to ignore. Sunday evening. The air smells like rain even though it hasn't started. Mark's still at work, another overnight he picked up last minute. The house is quiet except for the soft rattle of branches against the siding. I open the door to the porch and step outside with a cup of tea. The sky's heavy, dim, like it's holding its breath. Ethan stands near the steps, a cigarette between his fingers, smoke curling upward and disappearing into the gray. He glances back. Didn't think you were home. Got back an hour ago. Mark's out? I nod. Yeah. He switched shifts. We stay like that for a moment. Me leaning against the railing, him a few feet away. Both of us pretending there's nothing strange about sharing the same space after everything that's happened inside that house. He exhales slowly. You weren't supposed to see me that day. His voice is even, but something in it trembles, barely. I wasn't looking, I say. It just happened. He turns toward me, still. I think about it. I don't. That's a lie. I feel it leave my mouth too smoothly. He looks down at the steps. You ever feel like something small can change everything? 1 second and then you can't go back? I swallow. Yeah, I know that feeling. The rain starts, thin drops that hit the railing like tapping fingers. He steps closer to stay under the awning. The smell of smoke fades into the damp air. Ethan, I start, but he interrupts quietly. Don't. I just need to say this once he takes one more step, close enough that I can see the faint stubble along his jaw. That night, when the lights went out, I couldn't stop thinking that it felt better than anything has in a long time. I should walk inside, I know it, but I don't. I stand there, and when he leans in, I don't move away fast enough. His lips touch mine, brief, almost weightless, but real. It lasts less than a heartbeat before I step back. Ethan, don't, I say, but the words sound weak. He nods once, eyes lowered. I'm sorry. He drops the cigarette into the rain and watches the ember die. Inside, I wipe the water from my hair, but my hands won't stay still. I go to the sink, rinse the cup, turn the faucet off, then on again. Everything feels loud. The faucet, the clock, even my breathing. When Mark calls later, I answer quickly. He asks how the storm is. I tell him it's fine, that I couldn't sleep. He says he'll be home tomorrow afternoon, his voice calm, ordinary. I say goodnight. After the call, I stand by the kitchen window. The porch light catches the rain like static. The railing still has 2 wet handprints on it, mine and his. I wipe them away with my sleeve before turning off the light. Lying in bed later, I think about what I'll say to Mark tomorrow and realize the worst part isn't the kiss. It's that I've already started lying without hesitation. Wednesday. The weather's cleared, bright and too calm for how the house feels. Mark's been home 2 days, but it isn't the same. He's polite, measured, watching me the way people watch a dog they don't know, trying to decide if it might bite. He doesn't ask questions, and I don't give him reasons to. We move around each other in small circles. Coffee, dishes, laundry. He talks about new hires at the station. I talk about invoices. Every exchange sounds rehearsed. Ethan's quieter too. When he comes home, he stays in his room or leaves again without saying where. The air feels charged, like after thunder. when you're waiting to see if another strike will follow. That afternoon, I find Mark in the garage, standing by his car with the trunk open. "You're leaving again?" I ask. "Just taking a shift swap." Couple nights in Tacoma, he shuts the trunk harder than he needs to. "Ethan around?" "I think so," I say, though I'm not sure. He wipes his hands on a rag. "He's been off lately." "You notice that?" I hesitate. "Maybe he's just tired." "Maybe." He looks at me, searching for something, then looks away. "Anyway, don't wait up." He leaves before dinner. The sound of the car fades down the road. An hour later, Ethan walks into the kitchen. He looks like he hasn't slept. Dark circles under his eyes, jaw tight. "He gone?" he asks. "Yeah." He nods, leans against the counter, and stares out the window. "He's not coming back, is he?" I blink. "What do you mean?" "Not tonight. I mean, for good." The way he says it makes me realize he's thought about this more than I have. "He just needs space," I say, but it comes out flat. Ethan pushes off the counter and paces once across the room. "You know, every time he talks to me, I feel like he's already decided what I'll say. Like he doesn't want a real answer." "He's like that with everyone," I say quietly. He looks up. "Even you?" I open my mouth, then close it again. The truth sits right there between us, heavier than anything either of us can admit. He takes a breath, like he's about to say something more, but then he stops. He picks up his jacket from the chair and says, "I should go." "Where?" He shrugs. "Just out." The door closes behind him. I stand at the sink, listening to the house breathe. The headlights fade through the front window, then nothing. An hour passes. I make tea, don't drink it. When I finally walk to the window, the driveway's empty, but the porch light is still on. By midnight, I realize he isn't coming back that night. I go to bed without turning the light off. In the morning, the house feels hollow. Mark's side of the closet is half empty, his uniform gone, his watch missing from the dresser. No note, just absence. Later that day, Ethan returns. He doesn't say anything when he packs, just nods once toward me before walking out with his duffel. The door clicks shut. I don't stop him. I don't even try. The only sound left is the clock ticking in the kitchen, steady, indifferent, marking the distance between what was and what's left. 2 months later. The house is clean, quiet, and stripped of anything unnecessary. Mark's uniforms are gone, his mug no longer sits by the sink. I boxed up the rest, photos, his spare shoes, the first aid kit he kept in the drawer, and dropped them off at his sister's place. She didn't ask questions. He's in another city now, Tacoma, working nights at a hospital. His last message came 3 weeks ago. "Glad you're doing okay. Take care." No signature, no promise to visit. I read it twice and deleted it. Ethan never called. Not once. Sometimes I imagine he's back at school, maybe moved out of state. Sometimes I think he meant to reach out and didn't know how. Either way, I stopped waiting. I keep a routine now. Wake up early, open the curtains, make coffee, go for a walk along the same road where delivery trucks rattle past. I nod to neighbors I barely know. I started watering the plants Mark used to ignore. They've lived longer than I expected. Work is steady. The numbers line up. No one asks how I'm doing, because no one needs to. Still, there are nights when the house feels different. Not haunted, just aware. I'll be lying in bed reading, and I'll hear something soft. Water moving through the pipes, the creak near the hallway, the sound of the refrigerator kicking on. Ordinary things. But once in a while I hear running water, faint, like someone left the shower on. At first, I thought I imagined it. The first few times I even got up and checked. The bathroom was empty, the air cool, the mirror dry. Now, when I hear it, I stay in bed. It fades after a minute. One night last week, the sound lasted longer. I sat up, heart beating fast, the way it does before something familiar turns wrong. The water kept running. I walked to the bathroom door and stopped, my hand on the knob. Behind it, just the steady rush, the same pitch and rhythm it always had when Mark showered after a shift. I could almost picture him there, tired, silent, rinsing off the day, or Ethan leaning over the sink, lost in thought. The two versions blurred, overlapping until I couldn't tell which memory belonged to whom. I stood there maybe a full minute, then pulled my hand back. The water stopped on its own. In the morning, sunlight came through the window like nothing had happened. The coffee smelled the same. The world kept moving. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror, and it takes me a second to recognize myself. My face looks older, calmer, but my eyes, there's something in them that wasn't there before. Something that knows how quickly normal life can shift, how a single look can unravel years of order. I don't look away anymore. Whatever's left of that night, of those choices, stays here with me, steady, silent, part of the house, and when the pipes hum again, I let them. It's just water, I tell myself, just the sound of things still working.